Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
And welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30 here on WDAY Extra. Our pleasure to have North Dakota State offensive coordinator Dan Larson join us in studio, who's a wanted man. I'm glad you didn't blow me off big time because some other interviews out there, you're a wanted man this week, huh?
Yeah. It's I've got hardly anything to do with where they're at right now. But it's a cool story to be able to talk a little bit about and
it's fantastic.
share with them a little bit.
So the fact of the matter is that, and I will have the photo here. I dug this up from 2022 when you were the offensive line coach then, where Zabel and Sundell's playing center and Zabel's playing guard.
Yep.
You had Mason Miller playing tackle. You had Cody Mauck at the other tackle.
Yep. You
had Cam Miller at quarterback. You had Hunter Lipke as your running back in this one particular play.
Jake Kubas would have been at right guard.
There it is right there. That's all right, man. Yeah. That's pretty good for out of North Dakota State, huh?
That gets right up there with the 21 picture that you always showed at Montana State with Gindy and Babel out there too. Yeah,
so
cool.
and there it is for people that are going to watch the Super Bowl on Sunday night. That Sundell and Zabel did it here in that and that's right before Jalen obviously got hurt and missed the rest of the 22 season. What comes to your mind when you're looking at that?
Well, what comes to mind is that we've been really fortunate to coach some really good players here. That's what comes to mind. I think it's the biggest part of it anyone that's asked to share a story is that they were pretty selfless people, willing to kind of do whatever they had to do in order to go play wherever they needed to play. And I think Gray always had confidence that he was going to go succeed kind of wherever. I talked about, the fact that, when Coach Entz and Coach Roll, hey, we, step into the offensive line role in that COVID year. And, Jalen had taken some practice snaps at center, but never really played in a game, with Carson kind of playing before him, Schoening. And, hey, but we're going to do this together,
Your
we're
first time coaching O-line and his first time playing center.
We're just going to work through it. And then the other first of that was, hey, we're going to play this true freshman at left guard.
Yes.
And right guard, hey, Mason Miller, you're going to jump in there as a true freshman. Cody Mauck starting for the first time
at tackle.
Yeah. Yep. So, I think it's a group of those players that we kind of we went through a little bit of baptism by fire that spring. And as much as I don't look back at that season with a lot of fondness, there was some things that came out of that I think, kind of forged us a little bit all together. Create some pretty great memories.
There were some positives out of that. I remember because I think the Bison were at Northern Iowa, and I saw you before the game, and I'm like, so what about 74 there? You looked at me and go, he's starting today. I'm like, oh, really? He just got on campus like 6 months ago, and now he's starting
at right guard.
Starting for you there. And obviously that was the first real adversity he ever had because the next week he broke his leg, and he was tell me he was killing it, right?
Yeah.
And when he was playing against South Dakota State that day.
He was playing well. And, so, and I can just, for whatever reason, it always just sticks out the amount of injuries and adversity. I mean, all the position groups went through. But, if it's remembering that or remembering the fact that, in a stretch of like 5 plays, Cordell played right tackle, right guard, left guard, pulling him on 46 Badger, and he never played left guard or pulled on that rep before and went out there and just killed it. Coach Roll would always give me grief because when the first time we put Gray in was versus Missouri State down there, and he said my voice on the headset sounded like I was coaching, the first grader, high squeaky voice, come on, pull. So, yeah.
And now here they are.
And they're
going to be starting next to one another in the Super Bowl. Yep. Just what goes through your mind when you hear that?
I think I shared with you because both different paths, I think it's their determination to want to continue to improve. I think it's their determination to do it. And I was really excited when Jalen got an opportunity to be out there in Seattle because they were still running some scheme that I thought he was going to be pretty successful at the next level. And then when they switched to, Coach Kubiak and a little bit more of a wide zone and, hey, their centers do get out and pull, just from being able to watch that, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
And, even just Gray getting out there and checking in after a couple of the early practices, and I think Jalen's going to have a real chance. Then all of a sudden you're starting to get pretty excited, like, wow, that's pretty cool for both of them. And then center and left guard, pretty proud moment from my standpoint, but I think it was proud for anybody that had any association with Bison football during their time here. You just look at that and be like, yeah, you can do it from here.
you were visiting with me off air here on Sundell, and I talked to Jalen a couple weeks ago before the NFC Championship game, and for people that don't remember, I mean he got dinged up. Basically, 2023 he played hurt. Is that accurate to say? The entire senior season he was playing on a bum foot.
Bum foot, and then he had a little bit of a knee.
Yeah.
So I mean, wasn't ever as healthy as what he was at the end of 21 and the beginning of 22.
When he was humming
good,
right there.
Really good player.
So he gets invited to the East West Shrine Game. Can't do that because he got hurt, and he got an invite to the Combine and couldn't really do anything there, or else he gets drafted, and this path is not happening on Sunday, right?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, just when you open yourself up to all 32 teams, you don't know. And then when you have to go kind of this undrafted route and you still got a clear medical history, it shrinks down to a certain X amount of teams. And so, for it to work out in the way it did with him kind of getting an opportunity later in the summer process with Seattle is a pretty cool story.
And the fact that he made the 53, that doesn't happen, right?
No.
Undrafted guys.
Played against the Packers a little bit that first year because their center got dinged up. And so Jalen went in there and played really well. I can remember him I think he was pulling to the right on a long run, either by the quarterback or the running back. And then I shared with you, his other way he got on the field, KOR, kickoff return. So
that's unbelievable.
I think he would obviously remember. I'm pretty sure his first game doing KOR was against the Giants, and I found a way to pull it up like on PFF, a couple. Just keep blocking, baby. Just keep running your feet. But man, is it a different animal running at you now within 10 yards or whatever it is now, as opposed to
it's different in college.
Different than college, but. Yeah, just the fact that he earned the opportunity to get out there and do that, I thought was a pretty cool thing.
Now, we had you on the day after the draft here back in April that you and Tim and a few other people were actually in Gray's house that night. How much do you remember, if anything, him telling you that the Seahawks, or did the Seahawks talk to you at all in the pre-draft process?
That part I don't remember if I ever. I'm sure Coach Polisek, when you start getting a little bit later into that, I mean, it's more front office, and they want to talk to head coaches more than they want to talk to position coaches. But I don't remember the Seahawks. I don't remember that name as much as maybe some of the other ones. But I do remember, like, when it got past. Was it the Bengals early in that first round? I remember. It was the Seahawks and one other team that, Mark, Gray's dad, kind of talked about, and that Gray had kind of hinted at a little bit as well, too.
And obviously the video is well known now, that how room had exploded there.
Yeah.
I asked him this when I talked to him late last week, that how has he become a fan favorite? What is it? I mean, we know Gray's personality. I think it's only blossomed since he got there, but he has become a fan favorite since he got to Seattle.
Yeah, it's probably just how he kind of introduced himself, just being who he is, right? And then I think you even see it, the some of the blurbs that come out when they're asking about, Coach Kubiak, and he's really terrible at his job, you shouldn't hire him. I don't think he ever takes himself so seriously that he doesn't forget about who he is, and so I think that part of it, but when you go out and play really hard, and then they show kind of his personality even during the game, when they do some of those, where he's got
they had him mic'd up, was awesome.
Yeah.
It was tremendous.
I think you start to endear yourself to the fan base a little bit as well too.
So first off, what are you doing here? You didn't get a ticket to the game? You got to give them a hard time. These guys are making money now. They can't get you a ticket to the game?
I guess what it shows is that coaches, I really didn't make it that much of a difference. Outside of that, I put up with a lot of, a lot of BS and stuff like that throughout the course of the day. But does Coach Larson really help these guys all that much while they're at NDSU?
What do you think's going to go through your mind when you see them introduced on the game on Sunday?
I think because that Super Bowl is just such a huge deal. I'm sure. I mean, I'm kind of like Coach P. Like, we can get pretty emotional at a lot of different things. Yeah. Good and bad, and that would be one. I think more than anything else, it's incredibly proud of just watching guys achieve their dreams. It was no different. I mean, I remember I had Cordell's first rep up, and that was really the first guy that I ever got a chance to work with close. That ended up going into the NFL, and his first start, I think there was a sack, a false start. So I was more like, hey, then I'm starting to get a little bit like Coach ticked off watching the film or watching the game on that day we were in the offices. But I think when you start seeing these guys do some things beyond beyond NDSU, whether you're at a wedding or fortunate to watch guys play in the NFL, I think you're incredibly proud, but you also feel really incredibly fortunate that you got a chance to be a part of it in a really small way.
It's pretty darn neat.
Yep.
Just for those of us that have covered them, I've got to know each of them since they were basically juniors in high school. To see this now, it's the pinnacle of the sport. Is what's going to happen, and they're going to be right in the middle of it. They're not on the bench. They're on the practice squad. They're starting in the Super Bowl on Sunday. That's a different deal, man.
Yeah, and I would imagine 48 hours after it, let's hope for a Seahawks win, but 48 hours after it, you can talk to him just like you would have done 48 hours prior to it.
Exactly right. All right, let's break. We come back. We'll chat about the new Bison that are coming in today. We'll talk about that with Dan and a few other topics as well. Back here on the Bison Media Zone here on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, back here on the BMZ. We got about another 10 minutes left with NDSU offensive coordinator Dan Larson joining us here. It is signing day. Bison are adding 8 guys today. You added a QB today.
Yeah.
Give us a little breakdown on Henry Nelson out of Idaho. That's a state you guys don't normally go to.
So it goes by Hank.
Okay, like that already?
Yeah, so mom grew up, she was born in Moorhead.
Okay.
Killdeer High School. Dad from Driscoll.
Wow, okay.
And then made their way out to. So he still has relatives that are back here. He came and did camp. We just weren't going to be in a position to take a quarterback at that point in time. And, credit to Coach Brashaner, kept in contact with him. I think, Hank kind of kept on in contact with him as well, too. And, he's a 6'2 plus, big shoulders. I think he's got a frame that's going to continue to grow, and super excited about being a Bison. Parents have friends that are in the tailgate lot, so they're excited about it as well too. And we got a chance to know him and his family, him and his parents a little bit more when they came out and did an official visit a couple weeks ago. And I think just really down to earth family. It's going to be a good addition to the quarterback room, and we're kind of excited to some of the arm talent and then some of the athleticism that he has for the size that he has to add to the QB room.
You also got a couple highlight of guys here. You got another MP coming in.
Yeah.
What do we make of Gatlin? Is he as athletic as what Griffin is? And you know Griffin obviously quite well.
I think, yes. And so he's going to come in and play fullback for us, and that was really important that we found the right type of kid to come in and kind of play the true fullback spot for us. And it's something that we want to get back into the offense just a little bit more. And Gatlin did a really nice job at camp. He's improved a lot from his junior season. Catching the ball, I think he's always been a physical kid. I had a chance to go watch him wrestle last week.
Which he's amazing at that, too.
Really solid, really, really good wrestler, and he's going to have a chance to push it and have a chance at state. And so we're getting a lot of that same background that we really appreciated about Griff, and I'm excited for what he's going to have an opportunity to bring to the team for sure. And there'll be some special team value that he'll have as there as well. And, probably a little bit of one of those that's kind of like hiding in the background in terms of the importance of it, but us trying to find kind of that next fullback. Luke Kokak kind of trending towards graduation. Abe Myers making a transition to that position from D-end. Gatlin's a guy we're going to be really excited about.
I want to ask about one D-end out of Minnesota, Simon Vinton out of Orono, who won a state championship and was played tight end for them as well. Big guy. What stands out about getting Simon here?
I think Simon. So we got a chance to see him. I got a chance to see him work out at the high school. Really impressed by his athleticism. And then we got a chance to see him at both Lindenwood camp, and then he came up and did our camp. And when he came into our camp, it's the ability to play both offense and defense. And he moved around, and just what we were kind of looking for in a tight end to start this year was Caden Ward. It was a little bit more of an F body, a little bit more of a move guy. And Simon just wasn't at that spot yet. But I remember his actually went up a little bit in terms of, Coach Littlejohn's eyes, Coach Olson's eyes, just tough. Ran around, hey, try this position. Hey, run back over and do this position. It's the beauty of the evaluation that we get and still doing the camp the way that we do it. So I was super excited when Coach Olson said, I think he's still open to becoming a part of NDSU. And not overly fired up that, we're going to have to go against him and block him. It'll make us better. I know that. But, little feather in the cap is that, you still know that he's got some line of scrimmage from an offensive standpoint.
He's got some good hands. He scored a touchdown there.
Goal line packages, you never know. I know that won't go over well with some of the returning guys back there, but, never know down the road.
We have not had a chance to chat, and I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off here from the Illinois State game. And I know fans were probably wondering, well, what the bleep was Dan Larson doing that day? And so I'll just ask, what if you had to go back and do it over again, what would you do differently on how the game played out against Illinois State?
Yeah. Well, I think from our standpoint, we could have changed the tempo on it just a little bit more and try to play – just try to exert a little bit of change of pace and not just always just be in and out the huddle. I thought we gave them an opportunity just to play straight downhill and really just we never made them have to change. We were a little bit too straightforward, and a little bit too direct. Wasn't a lot of misdirection in our game plan. And it wasn't that our game plan was all that much different than the first game. Just with how the flow of the game was, like you needed to be able to do a little bit more in order to just get that just get that first down of a drive and just get yourself started. And so I think it was like we came out and we were super obviously aggressive with the first play. And not that we went away from that, not that I went away from that part of it, but as you start seeing it, like, okay, we're gonna have to value some of these reps, and instead of thinking, like just stay with what is in the box and kind of just stay with what we're doing. I mean, we needed to be able to get outside just a little bit more. And there's a lot of things from a schematic standpoint that we left on the call sheet. So it's frustrating from my part of it. I never, with how we practiced, and I thought with how our guys, the mentality and the intent that our guys walked in that game with, it wasn't anything that I saw coming. But it's super frustrating, super humbling from my standpoint that couldn't sequence 3 plays together to get a first down to move it to start a drive, 3 plays to end the game, and that'll be something that from my standpoint certainly growing and learning from, and you can't get caught in terms of this is what the call card says and we're going to do this. Like just get off of that and start getting into some things that can hopefully keep them off balance a little bit more.
How tough has this been to sit with?
It's been tough. It really has. I think from my standpoint, I didn't play here, but I think everything that is probably coaching the O-line room, but it's also probably being around guys like Tyler Roll, and then, getting even a little bit more involved with the BFPA and seeing how much this place means to people. Like you start thinking about yourself as a Bison, even though all I've really done is all I've done is coach here. And so I start feeling like, you're letting a lot of people down. And so like that part, it'll be a motivator. It's a fueling factor for me. I'm super excited for us to get back out on the field and start running around with our guys and seeing what we have to do in order for this next version to be successful. But I'm motivated to do it better than it's been done before. And, it's one game. Obviously it defined the season. And we did a lot of really good things. I feel really bad for those seniors because they worked really hard, and we'll do everything that we can, obviously, to move forward, that we don't have to feel that way at the end of a season again.
I really appreciate you coming by, and especially talking about the guys. And this was great stuff. Enjoy Sunday. I know you will.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking football again soon, all right?
Can't wait for that.
Good to see you, bud. Thanks again for coming by.
Thanks, Tom.
Dan Larson joining us, NDSU offensive coordinator here in studio, part of the Bison Media Show. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:35. We'll be back again next week. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you back here next week. Thanks for doing that.